الحمد لله الذي خلق السماوات والأرض وجعل الظلمات والنور ثم الذين كفروا بربهم يعدلون. الحمد لله الذي أنزل على عبده الكتاب ولم يجعل له عوجا. الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله. لقد جاءت رسل ربنا بالحق. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Sister Zakira and everybody else online. We are now at class 13 of 40 Hadith. We're on the sixth Hadith. Hadith السادس عن أبي عبد الله النعمان ابن بشير رضي الله تعالى عنهما قال سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم يقول إن الحلال بين وإن الحرام بين وبينهما أمور مشتبهات لا يعلمهن كثير من الناس فمن اتقى الشبهات فقد استبرأ لدينه وعرضه ومن وقع في الشبهات وقع في الحرام كالراعي يرعى حول الحمى يوشك أن يرتع فيه ألا إن لكل ملك حمى ألا وإن حمى الله محارمه ألا إن في الجسد مضغة إذا صلحت صلح الجسد كله وإذا فسدت فسد الجسد كله ألا وهي القلب. رواه البخاري ومسلم. On the authority of the father Abdullah and Nu'man ibn Bashir, may Allah be pleased with both of them. He said that I heard the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam say, indeed that which is halal is clear. But indeed that which is haram is clear. And between these two affairs, or between the halal and haram, are affairs that are ambiguous, unclear. Most people don't have knowledge about them. So whoever stayed away from those unclear matters then has indeed protected himself with regards to his religion and his honor. And whoever falls into doubtful matters will fall into impermissible, haram matters, like a shepherd who grazes his sheep close to someone's private pasture. Soon he will end up inside of their private pasture. Indeed, every king has a private pasture. And indeed, the private pastures of Allah are those things that He has made impermissible. Indeed, there is a lump of flesh in the body. If it is correct and rectified, then the whole of the body will be correct and rectified. However, if it is corrupt, then the whole of the body will be corrupt. Indeed, that lump of flesh is the heart. This hadith is, as we mentioned before, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Brother DJ, which is the most authentic hadith, the hadith that is agreed upon by Imam al-Bukhari and Muslim. So, this is our weak point for Muslims. The halal and haram. This is our weak. And this is in many issues where our divide is in our own ummah concerning the halal and the haram. And normally this divide is caused by either uh, extremism or or people being lackadaisical in deen. Each of them produces the other. You'll find when an extreme strand of Islam develops, then, and well, first and foremost, what happens is that lack of knowledge. So you have number one, the lack of knowledge. And the lack of knowledge, as mentioned before, comes from the lack of seeking it or seeking it and the lack of implementing it. So first you have the lack of seeking it. So if it's not sought, then it's not going to be present. It's just that simple. And although it seems like this is difficult to understand, in reality, it's not difficult to understand. But what makes it difficult to understand is a false concept of the deen being difficult. Because anytime you put the same concept of seeking in order to have that which is sought present in the affairs of the dunya, then it becomes clear. We have so many sayings, closed mouth don't get fed. You only get what you strive for. Right? You have so many sayings that show that in order for something to be present, you have to seek it, right? But when it comes to the deen, then there's this imaginary obstacles and difficulties that are placed in the face of seeking deen, seeking knowledge of deen. If you think about the way we strive in order to establish that which will make us comfortable in the dunya, then there's not a method of establishing or achieving the dunya that is left, except that you have a group of people that have perfected it and can teach it and explain it, and other than that. So seeking. So seeking knowledge, the lack of seeking it is what causes absence. So the absence of knowledge does not stop the people from trying to implement the religion. So now you have the absence of knowledge, but you have people still trying to implement deen. So what happens at that point? The absence of knowledge with people actually striving to implement the religion. You're going to either find people who are going to be so literal with the text that they'll make the text very narrow to the point that you have to be perfect to be a Muslim. You can't make a mistake. Then you have those who can combat this strand of extremism and try to prove that the religion is not that restricted. And both parties are acting without knowledge. So then they begin to place concessions and make things permissible in the deen that are not. And between these two strands, you have a group who have some information. And they know that neither of these two strands are correct. However, there's an absence of producing fruit from this middle strand. So now those who are extreme are saying, we're doing this, we're doing that, we've achieved this and that. And those who are lackadaisical, they'll say this and that, and this group will say, we have the text. And this other group, lackadaisical, say, look how many people are with us. And this is what we see today. And this is the reason for it. These two groups existing. There's a reason. All of it returns back to lack of knowledge. So the middle course is not going to be established except through knowledge of the deen. So he said, indeed, the halal is clear, and indeed, the haram is clear. The most general way to understand the halal is to know the haram. We mentioned before the principle, تتبين الأشياء بضدها أو بضدها تتبين الأشياء. Things are made clear through their opposites. So that's the first thing. Things are made clear through their opposites. So now, if a person knows the haram, he knows that whichever has not been mentioned in the haram is halal. Allah has given many examples of this in the Quran. ثمانية أزواج in Surah Al-An'am. Allah said 8 pairs of cattle. من البقر اثنين عفوا من ال نعم من الغنم اثنين ومن من المعز اثنين من الغنم اثنين. Said from 2 from the sheep and 2 from the what? The goats. قل الذكرين حرم أم الأنثيين أو ما اشتملت عليه أرحام الأنثيين. He said, جزاك الله خير. He said, say, Allah made haram the 2 males or the 2 females or that which is in the womb of the 2 females. Right? He said, من الإبل اثنين ومن البقر اثنين قل الذكرين حرم أم الأنثيين. He said, and from the camels 2 and from the cows 2. Say, did he make impermissible the 2 males or the 2 females or that which is in the belly of the 2 females? So Allah Ta'ala made clear that which is halal. Whichever wasn't mentioned is haram. In Surah Al-Ma'idah, the 5th chapter of the Quran. حرمت عليكم الميتة والدم ولحم الخنزير وما أهل لغير الله به والمنخنقة والموقوذة والمتردية والنطيحة وما أكل السبع إلا ما ذكيتم. And to the end of the ayah, Allah said, He has made impermissible for you dead meat, blood, the flesh of swine, that which has been killed by a headlong fall, that which has been killed by a violent blow, and that which has been eaten by a wild animal. And Allah mentioned all of the things that were haram and all of those things He mentioned there. So whatever wasn't mentioned is halal. So this shows here the fact that the way we understand what is halal is if it wasn't mentioned amongst the things that are haram, it's so many benefits we get from this. Number one, the first benefit is that which is haram can be numbered. That which is haram can be numbered. So in this, it shows us a type of ease in the deen, because that which is not counted amongst the haram is halal. And the fact that the halal hasn't been numbered out, it shows that the halal is more than the halal. The things that are halal is more than the haram. You know how big the Quran would be if Allah Ta'ala would name everything halal? Just think about those few things that He mentioned from the haram. Dead meat, blood, flesh of swine, that which has been killed by a violent blow or headlong fall, that has been gored to death, that has been eaten by a wild animal, that has been slaughtered for false idols and superstition and other than that. Right? That's been killed and other than the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You read Surah Al-Ma'idah and Surah Al-An'am, you get the list of haram meat. Everything that wasn't mentioned in that list is halal. So that goes on and on and on. And then you go to the Hadeeth. The Prophet said he prohibited the nab to eat things that has fangs. The nab, right? Oh, maqalib, or would have claws. Those things that beast of prey that had fangs and claws, then everything in the ocean was made halal, whether they had fangs and claws or not. Whatever's in the ocean is halal. Right? So if we look at that, could you imagine the list in halal for you? A sheep and goat and deer and antelope and cow and a buffalo. How long would the list be? Lentils and lima beans and string beans and carrots and it would just be a list of all food. So Allah Ta'ala explained there's a small type of amount of food that are here's your list. Everything that's not mentioned is halal. SubhanAllah. So it shows ease in the deen of Allah. Also, from the benefits of those lists of haram, it shows us in order to avoid what is mentioned in this hadith that we have to learn. You have to learn. Because in order to know that list, you have to open the Quran and read it. Other than that, we'll be like the Nation of Islam, and other than them, are people that what made things haram on their whims. Nation of Islam, they said what uh, anything white is is haram. White bread, white sugar, and anything white is haram. They say also that chickens are or the swine of the birds. You can't eat chicken. It's a type of bird swine. So they made chicken haram because the chicken eat anything. And then they also made crabs. They say crabs and lobster are the swine of the sea because they eat, and it's from their own whims. From their own whims. They made things haram, and they made a list longer than the list that Allah Ta'ala has given us. But if we were to pay attention to what Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala explained in the Quran, ولا تنكحوا ما نكح آباؤكم من النساء إلا ما قد سلف إنه كان فاحشة مقتا إنه كان فاحشة ومقتا وساء سبيلا. And don't marry those women that your fathers were married to from the women. Indeed, it was lewdness, evil, lewdness, filth, and an evil path. حرمت عليكم أمهاتكم. Your mothers are haram for you. وبناتكم, and your daughters. وأخواتكم, and your sisters. وعماتكم, and your paternal aunts. وخالاتكم, and your paternal and your maternal aunts. وبنات الأخ وبنات الأخت, and your nieces are haram for you. So this is the haram. وأمهاتكم التي أرضعنكم, and your suckling mothers, the women who breastfed you while you were children. You can't marry those women. وأخواتكم من الرضاعة, and your sisters that also breastfed from the same woman. وأمهات نسائكم, and your wives' mothers, your mother-in-law is haram. وربائبكم, and your stepdaughters are haram for you. من نسائكم التي دخلتم بهن, from those women that you consummated the marriage with. فإن لم تكونوا دخلتم بهن فلا جناح عليكم. But if you didn't consummate the marriage with the woman, it's no sin upon you if you were to marry a daughter. وحلائل أبنائكم, in your sons' ex-wives, your daughters-in-law. من أصلابكم, your sons from your loins, not your stepsons. Your son's ex-wife is haram for you, just like the father's ex-wife is haram. So your mother-in-law is haram, your daughter-in-law is haram. وأن تجمعوا بين الأختين, and to marry two sisters. And from that, in the hadith also, is an aunt and her niece. It's haram. Right? And except what happened in the past. This now is letting us know what the culture was in the past. They used to do that. Except which happened in the past. إن الله كان غفورا رحيما. And indeed, Allah is the most forgiving, most merciful. والمحصنات من النساء, and women already married. They sleep with nobody's wife. So now this is the list of the haram women. وأحل لكم ما وراء ذلكم, and permissible for you that whatever is outside of that. It's the Quran. إن الحلال بين وإن الحرام بين. So the halal becomes clear through knowing what is halal. Get your short list of the haram, and then know that whatever has not been mentioned is halal. It's that simple. And Allah gave us the short list in the Quran. This is what we mean when we say the deen is easy. Now, when people want to go to that short list that Allah has given us in Quran and the Prophet ﷺ has given us in the Sunnah, and they want to take things from that short list and want to add it to the long list, halal, we say no. And they get, this is extreme because now Allah Ta'ala has made open. You're talking about, what do you call it? Free market. Allah's open for us. We can do business. But yeah, we have a short list of that's not impermissible. التعامل بالربا, dealing in riba, in usury, in interest, right? الغش, deception, right? Hiding defects of the merchandise, and every type of deception is impermissible in business. Lying, so all of these things, cheating in weight and measurement. So we have the short list of what is impermissible in business dealings. Everything that's not on that short list, do business, make money. So we have the short list. Every time, where's going to be the clash? The clash is going to be when Someone wants to look at that short list after all of the things that Allah Ta'ala has made halal by not mentioning in that short list. People want to go to that short list and take something from it and add it to the law. Why? All of this, all of this that is permissible. You have to take something from that list of impermissible things. Why? It's a short list. It's not a lot of things. All of these women in the world that you can marry that's not in that short list. Why would you try to marry one of those women? Why would you try to be with one of those women? Why? All of the Muslim men, look how many Muslim men in the world, the spread of Islam Muslim in the world. How could a Muslim be married to a Christian? You have Muslim women that think they have Christian husbands. And if they believe that that is a marriage, it would take her out of the fold of Islam. Allah mentions something Baqarah. وَلَا تَنْكِحُوا الْمُشْرِكَاتِ حَتَّى يُؤْمِنَّ. That we can't marry Muslim men. We can marry Muslim women, Christian women, Jewish women. We can't marry pagan women, Buddhist women, Hindu women. Can't marry those kind of women. Agnostic, the woman that says, "Oh, I'm not anything. I'm just spiritual." No, she's a mushrikah. No, she doesn't have a deen. Can't marry one without a deen. Can't marry one with that what doesn't have a deen. Side benefit. Question posed. Now we notice the Sahaba, subhanallah, radiallahu anhum, the Sahaba never asked this question. Sorry to say, philosophical people today, people of education and intelligence, so they think, they ask this question. They don't understand. They're not asking the sheikh, the imam. They're asking Allah, this messenger. That challenge that they think they're posing to the imam or the sheikh or the teacher, they're actually trying to pose this challenge to Allah and His messenger. Why is it that Muslim men can marry Jewish and Christian women, but Muslim women cannot marry Jewish and Christian men? Okay? So I'll throw that out there and let's hear the answer.
Because a woman follows the religion of her husband.
Okay, so our brother Abdul Haq, now 1 minute thought. The woman follows the religion of her husband. Well, that's a point. That's the norm. That's the norm, but it's not a guarantee. We have clear example in the Quran in Surah Al-Tahrim that Nuh alayhi salam was a prophet and his wife didn't follow him in religion. And Lut alayhi salam was a prophet and his wife didn't follow him in religion. So a woman doesn't always follow her husband in religion. Asiyah was a believer and her husband was Fir'aun before this legislation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that's true sometimes. I know a brother from New Jersey, may Allah preserve him, was married 8 years, got divorced, wife, mashallah, all 8 years of the marriage in niqab, jilbab, hijab. After the divorce, she put on some other type of clothing. He said, "What's going on?" She said, "I was a Muslimah because I was married to you. But my real religion is Buddhism. I'm a Buddhist." She said, "If you think that the only way to go into heaven is through your religion, then you're narrow-minded." But she believes, from her belief, is that a woman follows her husband. So she just followed him, but didn't follow him. Yeah.
Another point would be that a Christian or a Jew couldn't teach her anything about her religion.
That's close. A Christian or a Jew couldn't teach her anything about her religion. One of the you gonna say something, Chef?
I did.
Okay. One of the benefits of the Muslim man being able to marry a Jewish and Christian woman, and not the same being the case with the Muslim woman marrying a Jewish or Christian man, is because the Muslim man believes in every prophet and every book. So he would not tell her to denounce her belief. He would tell her to correct her belief. Whereas the Jewish man and the Christian man does not believe in every prophet and messenger. So he would tell her to denounce her belief. She has to deny the Quran in order to be with him. She has to deny the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and a Christian woman also. If she married a Jewish woman, she has to deny Isa alayhi salam, deny Virgin Mary, and all of that. So this is why they cannot be married. The authority that they have and the fact that they deny part of their belief. We don't deny part of the belief of those women. We confirm it with the correct understanding of it. We confirm Isa alayhi salam, the correct understanding of it. We confirm everything that was given to Musa alayhi salam, and we correct it. And this is, one of the main benefits of a Muslim man being able to marry and the Muslim woman not being able to marry. Nah, and the best answer is the answer of Abu Rumay said, because Allah legislates what He wants. And Allah knows what's best. Barakallah feek. Now, Tariq, you had a question.
نعم السلام عليكم.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Allah يحفظك.
I mean,
نعم.
yeah.
So with regards to the woman, it should become that's not permissible for you to marry because of relations, such as the stepdaughter and the mother-in-law.
Nah.
Does this make you a mahram for them indefinitely, even if you were to divorce that woman and you no longer are married to them? And what are the limits of that relationship with regards to you being a mahram? Can they travel with you for acts of ibadah, such as Umrah or Hajj and things like this? Naam, barakallahu fiqh.
Wa fiikum barakallah. This is a good question. So let's look at the word mahram. The word mahram and ihram is from the same root. It's from haram. What does haram mean?
Impermissible.
Impermissible. Impermissible. So now, when a woman becomes mahram, it means that this person is a person that you can't marry. Your mother, your mahram for your mother, you can't marry your mother. Meaning that you have a relationship that you're there, you have a relationship with her through blood, but you also have a situation where you can never marry your daughter, your niece, and other than that. So when a man marries a woman and her mother becomes mahram for him, it just means he can't marry her mother. Right? It doesn't make him on the status of her real blood son. He doesn't get that status. The real meaning that he doesn't get the authority over her, nor the responsibility over her. It's his mother-in-law. Same thing with his stepdaughter. He doesn't get the authority nor the responsibility. Stepdaughter is really supposed to go to her father, a blood father. So it makes her impermissible to marry. It makes her permissible to be in the same location with him without complete hijab, depending whether or not there's a fitna between the two. Now, so because becoming a mahram, a man marrying a woman, and now he's haram on her with her mother, and if he consummates the marriage, he's also haram. He cannot marry a daughter. It doesn't give him the authority or responsibility over either of them. So now, if they want to travel, in order for him to be the mahram for her in traveling, that requires a fatwa. It's not automatic. Doesn't mean that now he can take the place of her blood son or her blood father or other than that. It doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean he gets those rights and responsibilities. Now, it just means mahram haram. Haram, you can't marry. That's the end of that. That's the extent of mahram in that, and that there's some concessions with regard to hijab, depending on whether or not there's fitna. So now, if the person is not, let's say a person marries a woman who her mother married late. Let's say her mother got married when she was 40. Now she's 70, a clear 70-year-old woman. She's from Qa'ad al-Nisa, the women who don't even hope for the possibility of marriage. So then being around her, traveling with her, there will be concessions in that. But let's say a woman, her mother married young, say her mother got married at 12 or 13. And he married the girl, let's say she's 20. Let's say her mother's 35. He's 20, the girl's 20, or whatever, do the math. Where there's only maybe 10, 15, let's say 15, 17 years between him and her. And she's beautiful. So then what would be the case of going traveling with this woman? So this will require a case study. Each situation requires a fatwa. Because some men, and we're going to deal with we have the ideal situation, and we have the real situation. Some men are attracted to their mother-in-law, their mothers-in-law. Some men are attracted to their daughters-in-law. And I recommend for any man that's attracted to his daughter-in-law and they live in the same household, that he should divorce her mother. He should divorce her mother because he's in a fitna before something bad happens. And we know stories of things that happen in these situations. Marry a woman that doesn't have that fitna in her household. An adult, pubescent daughter. The woman is 35, her daughter is 17. The man is the same age as the woman. There's an attraction, especially for those flirtatious stepdaughters. Some brothers have been in situations where they have stepdaughters that are attracted to their stepfathers. See, we can't act like these things don't exist. So now the daughter, she's a stepdaughter, and then she's saying, "Oh, he's my mahram." So she's dressing in a seductive manner, and she's everywhere room he goes in, he finds her there. She beats him to the punch. She follows his routine, beats him to the punch. Make sure she's there in a seductive manner. And like that. These situations are dangerous. So for brother, and this is just my advice, it's not a command in the Quran or Sunnah, but this is the hadith we're talking about. Whoever stays away from doubtful matters stays away from haram. So if you think that your mother-in-law, your daughter-in-law are attracted to you and they're in the same house as you need to leave permanently. It's the reality. You need to leave permanently. So if there's no attraction and that's not the situation and like that, then alhamdulillah, you're fine. But every situation has to be analyzed for the situation that it is. Nah. So yeah, a fatwa will be required for that situation if not there's attraction between the two or one of the two, because it has to be the one or two or both. One or both. So whichever one that comes from, if it can be dissolved by the mother, the stepmother, she comes around sometimes. The mother-in-law, but she lives somewhere else. Or the stepmother, she comes to visit her mother, but she lives somewhere else. Then that's a different situation. But if they're in the same household and there's no way of them not being in the same household, then the person needs to remove himself, as the Prophet ﷺ said in this hadith. Don't be like the shepherd grazing their private pasture. Nah. Abu Rumaysa, nah.
Afwan, that was from earlier.
Okay, now. So the halal is clear. How? By knowing the haram. That's the point that I want to make it at this point of the hadith. The halal is clear when you know the haram. Because the haram, we have a short list in Quran and Sunnah to let us know what it is. The halal is it's detailed, it's extensive. What is halal is very extensive. We're not like animals, in which we come in species that don't mix with each other. Leopards and tigers don't get with each other. Lions and cheetahs don't get with each other. No, humans are not like that. Africans marry Europeans marry Arabs marry Indians. This is it's open season. So it's no issue when it comes to that. The issue comes from the short list. Everything outside of that is permissible, which is very, very dangerous when it comes to tribalism and nationalism. Some people think, especially African Americans, they believe that it's based on skin color. A lot of times it's not. I've been overseas with brothers, and they try to get married and say, "Oh, it's because I'm black. They don't want to marry me to their daughter because I'm black," and it's not even that. You don't realize that it's deeper than that. You'll go. When I was at Masjid Furqan in Philadelphia. There was two brothers, both of them Palestinian, both of them seeking marriage. Both of them had sisters that were seeking marriage. So when they came to me seeking marriage, I said, "Well, so-and-so, who's a friend of yours, he has a sister." So both of them sat me down and told me the story of they're from these villages in Palestine. And that their great-great-great-great-grandfathers had a beef. And there's no way, because the family would cut them off, because you can't take from that, and they're both Palestinian. It's not about that. It goes deeper. If we look at Surah Al-Hujurat, Ya ayyuhan nas. Allah said, mankind, inna khalaqnakum min dhakarin wa untha. That we created you from a male and female. وَجَعَلْنَكُمْ شُعُوبًا وَقَبَائِلَ لِتَعَرَّفُوا. We made you into tribes and nations. So every tribe is from a nation, but not every nation divides into tribes. But when you go to a land in which they're, tribal, you'll find that no, they're not going to take from that village because that's that tribe, and they'll be the same people. But they won't take from. They won't take. I tell you, in India,
Hindus.
yeah, the Hindus, they have the caste system. You could be from India all you want. But if you're not from this tribe or that tribe, we won't marry you. If you're Indian, you could be light as you want, dark as you want, same thing. They will not marry you because you're not from their tribe. So a lot of times it's deeper than simply skin tone. You can have the same skin tone and everything, but you're from what? Who? Who's your father? Who's your grandfather? Who? Oh no, we don't take from those people. Nah. So it gets deeper than that. So this is impermissible. That's not on the short list. Not taken from that tribe is not on the short list of haram. Allah gave us the list with about 14 from the women, types of women. Everything else is halal. Even this is from that tribe that the great grandfathers had a beef with each other. It's still halal. So it's not permissible. The impermissible thing that happened with the madhahib. This actually was a discussion when you study comparative fiqh. You open up the book of nikah, the book of marriage, you'll find that some extreme madhab followers said, no, Hanafi can't marry a woman of Shafi'iyya, and the Shafi'iyya can't marry a Hanbali. Yeah, that's how extreme it was.
Say they cannot marry the Wahhabis.
Yeah, and they can't marry a Wahhabi.
Wahhabi sect.
Yeah, yeah, made it a
Very difficult for the Wahhabi boys to get.
Yeah, in India, yeah. Yeah, the Hanafi said you can't marry Wahhabi.
You marry what?
A Wahhabi, a follower of Sheikh Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab. Yeah, I mean, this is amazing. And it's funny because they'll say that, but they say it's permissible to marry a Jewish woman or a Christian woman, but you can't marry Wahhabi. So this is how extreme it goes. But Allah has given us that list, halal, haram, in eating, in drinking, in clothing, in housing, in everything. It's clear. And the way we know, and I'll end the class on this, and the way we know is by knowing the haram. If you want to know what's halal, know the haram. If you know the haram, then you know that whatever's not mentioned in the short list of the haram is halal, whether it be clothing, marriage, and in the books of hadith, the book of dress. In the books of every book of hadith, the sunnah is the book of dress, of what to wear, what not to wear, how to wear it. This religion is very detailed. Very detailed. All we have to do is learn. If we look at the fact that Allah Ta'ala never ordered the Prophet ﷺ to seek an increase in anything but knowledge. وَقُلْ رَبِّ زِدْنِي عِلْمًا, and say, oh my Lord, increase me in knowledge. So the Prophet ﷺ, out of all of the things that mentioned in the Quran, he was only ordered to seek an increase in knowledge, and revelation was being descended upon him. So now how about us? So the more knowledge we seek, inshallah, we'll learn what the haram is, and then the halal will be clear. And then in between that, inshallah, next class we'll talk about what is a doubtful matter. Because you have that which is doubtful in general, meaning all of the Muslims are in doubt about this particular issue. Then you have that which is specifically doubtful, meaning it causes an individual to doubt, but it doesn't cause another individual to doubt because of the difference in their levels of knowledge and understanding of the deen. This is one of the biggest problem is that when it comes to those doubtful matters that we'll talk about in the class, is that a person wants to make his specific doubt general for everybody else. I don't know, Akhil, you should do it. I understand you don't know. That doesn't mean he doesn't know. So he's doing it because he knows it's halal. You have an issue because you haven't learned about it, so you feel like it's a doubtful matter. You cannot impose your doubt about the halal of that situation on everybody else. That's specific to you. Now, so inshallah, next class we'll go into the specific and general doubtful matters, that which is doubtful to the Muslims, period. And there's some issues that become doubtful in general. And I'll give you a clear issue. This is going to be a fitna. When I mention it, it's going to be a fitna. For those who do not have a necessity in using the internet, then for them, the internet, for the Muslims in general, they don't have a necessity to be on the internet, then the internet is a doubtful matter. Look at the hadith. The one who deals with the doubtful matters is like a shepherd who grazes near a private pasture. Soon he's going to go into it. Indeed, every king has a private pasture, and indeed, the private pasture of Allah as the things that He's made impermissible. Right? So now, look at this internet and look at the impermissible things on the internet and how many people have been scathed or harmed through the internet by falling into that which is impermissible. So if it stays away from the doubtful matters, protects itself with regards to his religion, his religion and his honor. And whoever goes into the doubtful matters will soon fall into the haram. The internet is for the doubtful matters. No. So we'll stop here. And after that, when the internet first came out, Sheikh Uthaymeen, other than him, said it's infamous, Muslims stay away. Haram. Sheikh Uthaymeen, Sheikh Ibn Baz, they said it's haram. Stay away. It wasn't invented, in order to aid upon thought. Then people came and said, no, we use it for dawah, we use it for... So then when that got mixed up in it, that's what made it more for the doubtful. The good and the bad. Once the good and the bad mixed together, that's where you get doubt from. That's where you get doubt from. So inshallah, next week we'll talk about it in a more detailed manner, but we'll stop here. هذا وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم إن شاء الله. جزاك الله خير شيخ. This is the سميحة. هذا وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت واستغفرك وأتوب إليك. آمين وجزاكم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
In the